Good evening, America, and welcome to the inaugural episode of Who Fell Off the Wagon Tonight. This is the show where we cut through the noise and bring you the most pressing stories, saving you the hassle of hours of endless news coverage. Here, it's all about the facts, clarity, and sharp insight to keep you ahead of the curve. Before we dive into the news, let's talk about why we're here. Who Fell Off the Wagon Tonight isn't just another show. Our goal is simple: to report fair and balanced news while never holding back the truth. In a media landscape filled with bias, spin, and outright misinformation, we're here to give you the facts as they are, not as some agenda driven network wants you to believe them. We're not about pushing narratives, we're about exposing them. And let's be clear, this isn't about making money, it's about making an impact. The bigger picture here is growing this channel into a trusted source for people who are tired of the media's games. If you're here for the truth, you're in the right place. And none of this would be possible without the American dream. The idea that in this country, if you work hard, think big, and refuse to accept limits, you could achieve anything. It's the same dream that allowed us to launch this show, to build something independent and unfiltered. And it's the same dream that drives true leaders to push boundaries. Think about President Trump's bold vision of sending Americans to Mars. Some mocked it, but that's the spirit that built this country, striving for the impossible, setting ambitious goals, and proving that America leads the way. If we could put a man on the moon, we could secure our borders, fix our economy, and restore the values that made this country great in the first place. Without further ado, let's dive right into it. Our first story tonight tackles a major issue that's been ignored for too long: birthright citizenship. A preliminary report reveals that up to 250,000 children were born to illegal immigrants in 2023. That's right. One in every 13 births in this country in 2023 were to somebody who was not even supposed to be here. That's nearly the population of Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And it's happening year after year. This isn't just an immigration issue itself, it's a strain on our healthcare system, our schools, and ultimately the American taxpayer. Yet for decades, we've been told that birthright citizenship is untouchable, a so called sacred principle of American law. But is it really? Enter President Trump, who is taking direct action to end this outdated loophole ridden policy. He's pushing to end birthright citizenship for children born to illegal immigrants, calling it what it is: a massive incentive for illegal immigration. Trump has signed an executive order that would prevent automatic citizenship for children born on U.S. soil to non citizen parents, a move that critics are already challenging in court. A federal judge has predictably blocked the order, setting up what could be a landmark legal battle over the meaning of the 14th Amendment. But let's be honest, when that amendment was ratified, nobody was thinking about people illegally crossing the border just to have a baby in the United States. They were thinking about newly freed slaves, not birth tourism. And let's look at the consequences of allowing this system to continue. Hospitals are overcrowded, public schools are stretched thin, and let's not forget these birthright citizens become anchors for extended family members to gain legal status down the road. It's called chain migration, and it's been exploited for decades. So when Trump says this is a priority, it's not just about border security. It's about stopping a system that incentivizes illegal immigration in the first place. If we're serious about fixing this crisis, stopping legal entry at the border isn't enough. We have to stop rewarding it. Now, shifting gears across to Capitol Hill, the Senate forced a rare weekend vote to confirm Kristi Noem as the new Secretary of Homeland Security. Noem's confirmation is a huge win for those of us who believe in law and order. As South Dakota governor, she showed us what effective leadership looks like, whether it was standing up to the federal overreach during the pandemic or taking a strong stance on border security. Let's not kid ourselves. The Department of Homeland Security has been a mess for years. Noem has her work cut out for her, but if her track record is any indication, she's exactly the kind of no-nonsense leader we need to tackle the border crisis and protect Americans from rising cyber threats. And speaking of leadership changes, let's talk about the Department of Defense and its new chief, Pete Hegseth. You would think about this confirmation as a slam dunk, given his military background and no-nonsense approach, but no. Three Republican senators decided to make things official. Make things difficult. Susan Collins, Lisa Murkowski, and Mitch McConnell. That's right. The same senators who always seem to have a problem when it's time to get things done. These three joined the Democrats in opposing Hegseth, claiming concerns about his leadership style. But let's be honest, their true opposition has more to do with their obsession with optics than actual national security. And McConnell, let's not forget this is the same Mitch McConnell who, after the January 6 riots, called Trump's actions a disgraceful dereliction of duty, while happily working with Democrats to maintain his own power. McConnell has long been more interested in playing defense for the establishment than actually fighting for conservative principles. He calls himself a Republican, but his track record suggests otherwise. Whether it's selling out on big spending bills or playing political games with judicial appointments, McConnell's leadership has done more to weaken the GOP than strengthen it. So it's no surprise that when given the opportunity to support a strong Secretary of Defense, he chose instead to side with the opposition, the Democrats. Meanwhile, House Speaker Mike Johnson has officially invited the Trump administration to address Congress as a part of his ambitious 100-day legislative sprint. This is a major movement, and not just because it marks Trump's return to the congressional stage, it's a signal that Johnson and House Republicans are fully aligned with Trump's agenda, and they're making it clear that the America First movement isn't going anywhere. With a packed legislative agenda and major battles ahead, Johnson knows that having Trump addressing Congress will energize the base and set the tone for the next phase of congressional governments. Of course, expect Democrats and their media allies to throw a fit, because nothing triggers the establishment like a leader who actually listens to the American people. Back here at home, President Trump is making headlines with his hands on approach to disaster relief. Yesterday, he was in California meeting residents and officials to assess the damage from the devastating LA wildfires. And let's just say, Trump didn't pull any punches. He called out Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass for what he described as a restrictive and ineffective policy that is delaying residents' ability to rebuild their homes. Trump urged Bass to use her emergency powers to expedite the process, but she pushed back, saying safety was the priority. Safety. Residents are being told it could take up to 18 months to start rebuilding. Trump, ever the pragmatist, announced plans to waive federal permits to speed things up and called on California officials to follow suit. Here's the bottom line: red tape is the enemy of recovery, and the people of Los Angeles deserve better than empty promises and endless delays. So there you have it. Just the hard hitting facts. No fluff, no spin. If tonight's stories tell us anything, it's that leadership matters and decisions have consequences. We are here to make an impact, to build something that lasts, and to tell the truth no matter how uncomfortable it might be. Thanks to the American dream, we could do just that. We will see you next time.